Good morning, Formlabs User Summit goers. My name is Klara Mendrisova, and I'll be talking about 3D printing medical devices at BD. Did you know that according to the latest BCC research study, the demand for 3D printed medical devices within the global market is expected to increase from just over 2 billion in 2024 to about 4.5 billion within 5 years. So with that, let's explore how BD and Formlabs fit in. So Becton Dickinson, BD. You're asking yourself, what is that? What do they do? So BD is a global medical device company that was founded way back in 1897 in New Jersey. And now BD makes all different kinds of medical devices under the sun. A bit about my role. I am the lead engineer of the stereolithography R&D 3D printing lab, where I manage associates and run the R&D 3D printing lab. My background is in mechanical engineering, and I have over 8 years of experience within 3D printing using a variety of different 3D printing technologies. I love being an experimenter, looking into new 3D printing machines and materials and processes. At BD, I support key projects to further the development of medical devices and ensuring biocompatibility for clinical trials, where I love testing out new materials and machines. How does 3D printing support BD's mission? What is BD's why? BD's mission statement is advancing the world of health. How does 3D printing help BD, you might ask? 3D printing helps BD to support key projects, usability tests, voice of customer, human factors engineering studies to improve patient lives. 3D printing also helps BD to innovate next generation medical devices. We can have quick innovation and iteration of new designs and solutions for healthcare providers and patients. 3D printing can help BD to bring medical devices to market faster, and it can help engineers and scientists develop next generation diagnostic tools, medical devices, and treatments. So, what is the value of 3D printing? The main big values are the quick iteration of medical device designs, also biocompatibility. We're able to provide biocompatible parts that can be tested on thermal contact studies to our BD partners. And we can also provide some low volume production to support them, as well as creating designs that are difficult or impossible to machine using traditional subtractive methods. What has my experience been with 3D printing over the past 8 years? I remember the first time I saw a 3D printer in a shop called Micro Center many years ago, and I was fascinated when I was able to see the FDM printer just creating a really cool zigzaggy cube structure, and that really intrigued me and helped to lead me down the path of becoming an engineer and getting into the 3D printing space. So most of my experience has been with stereolithography machines. I've worked with a whole host of different kinds, from 3D systems and also some larger ones from Stratasys and Union Tech. And I worked with a lot of different Formlabs machines over the years. I remember I worked with a Formlabs Form 2 back in college and was doing a senior research project. So that opportunity really helped me to get into 3D printing, and then was on to using the Form 3 and then beta testing the Form 4. I've also used different fused deposition modeling or fused filament fabrication machines, such as the Ultimaker, and I have also had the chance to use digital light projection from 3D systems, and I've used a whole host of Somos materials, Formlabs materials, and know about 3D systems materials as well. Now let's take a look at the Form 4 beta program. I had the opportunity to have the Form 4BL machine on site in my lab to test out for a couple months. But first, let's take a look at the speed of the Form 4BL versus my 3BL. After printing dozens of parts, I found that different builds could take anywhere from 96% to about 34% of the print time, with an average of about 60%. So printing on the Form 4BL versus the 3BL decreased the print time by about half. Really awesome. I also found that taller parts seem to have more benefit of printing in substantially less time. So for example, I had printed tall 10-inch parts, nearly the full Z height of the build volume, and they printed about 9.5 hours versus about 18 hours on the 3BL. Also, these bottles that you see on the left-hand side, those printed in just under 7 hours, which was about a third of the time it would have taken on the Form 3BL. So massive improvements there on speed of printing. Let's take a look at quality and accuracy next. For all three materials that I tried, the clear V5, white V5, and rigid 10K high heat deflection materials, they all had smooth walls and crisp feature details. For the clear V5, that one was clear when printing vertically or flat. There were some issues with it not being a true transparent clear and more of a misty color with the layer lines when printing at an angle. You can see that pretty well here with this bottle that was printed at a 45-degree angle. For the small holes and thin slits over here, I was wanting to see the limitations of all the different materials. So for the clear V5 and the rigid 10K, I found that it could print holes that were down to 0.02 inches in diameter. So really love that. Also, thin slits of about 0.01 inches were able to form with no problem and be cleared out. There were some issues with the white V5 being able to clear out small features. So for example, we could not clear out anything less than 0.04 inches in diameter for these small holes in the white material, and the thin slits of 10,000s could not be cleared out for it. As far as accuracy goes, we had really great spot-on results when measuring in X and Y. So there was a bit of an issue with the Z height for some overhanging parts that were a little thicker than they should have been. Now going on to the reliability of the Form 4BL. I and my team are really happy with the changes made in this new printer. One of them is the recoder arm being attached with a clamp versus a magnet. So versus the Form 3BL that had a magnet, this recoder arm being clamped down was really helping to prevent print start failures, which we have had issues with before with the Form 3. So we're really liking that we have a clamp that is actually a recoder arm that is clamped down. I also really like the feature of preheating the resin, and then also the heating is a lot faster than it was on the Form 3BL, so we can keep the resin at the right temperature and not have to wait for 30 minutes for it to heat up before it starts a print. So we can get partners' parts started faster and get iterations to them a lot quicker. And for the whole duration of the beta trial, we did not have any crashes. So we love that. How does Formlabs Form 4's advances impact my workflow? Impacts my workflow quite a lot in terms of speed, quality, and reliability. In terms of speed, we have the opportunity to turn around parts the same day to our BD partners due to being able to print in about half the time it takes on the Form 3BL. This will lead to quicker testing and iterations of designs by our engineering teams, which will end up speeding up innovation and time to market for medical devices. For quality, the flat and smooth sidewalls of this mold that we printed, you can see on the left side, those enable the machinist to not have to do a lot of prep work in order to have the mold fit inside the injection molding machine. And the reliability of the Form 3BL, the Form 4BL actually, to provide these molds in just under 6 hours and continuously provide flat and smooth sidewalls is really a big plus in not having to prep the mold too much with machining before getting parts injection molded out of it. In this molding example, these molds, which are of a example flip cap part, were placed into an Arberg injection molder, and then we had run polypropylene and polycarbonate through it in order to test a more flexible and then a stronger material. And versus a lot of other different high heat deflection materials, the rigid 10K material was able to provide us with quite a few dozen samples of the polypropylene flip caps. So that was really great to see that we're going in the right direction for having a solution for nearly doing next to no work in having the mold printed and then getting it ready for the injection molding machine and then getting physical injection molded parts from it. So to conclude, 3D printing provides an immense value in speeding up innovation of medical devices here at BD. The Form 4BL is a definite step up from the 3BL in terms of speed and reliability, and a bit of a challenge for achieving higher clarity. We would love a solution for getting that higher clarity without extra post-processing, especially for the Clear V5 parts that print at an angle that will require a lot of extra polishing and clear coating. Thank you all for your time. Once again, I'm Klara Mendrisova with BD, and enjoy the rest of your summit.